Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin. Nothing really that impressive is going on, despite what many of you might think. But I just wanted to provide an update. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin. If you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel. A lot of times we do a more data science approach. Of course, I do pull up TradingView from time to time. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Check out the Telegram channel in the description below, and please give the video a thumbs up. Let's go ahead and dive in. One of the things we made a video earlier, right, on Bitcoin, back to the basics, looking at if you're a beginner, how can you look at moving averages? Of course, this is snooze fest for most of you, but let's just bear with me, right? But we mentioned, it's not all just a monotonic move up. We know this, right? We know it's not a systematic move up. We know that Bitcoin goes up, that Bitcoin goes down, but Bitcoin mainly goes up, right? But a lot of people like to pretend that it doesn't go down, right? They just want to buy it and then watch it continue to go up day after day. But we know, right, that as we've said before, that there's a good chance that it's going to take us another 14 months, right, to get to a sustainable $20,000 Bitcoin. And we've been saying this for a long time. I mean, this is the narrative of the channel, right? And it's going to be pretty hard for me to hide from that if Bitcoin goes to a sustainable $20,000 Bitcoin in 2 months, right? I mean, this is the premise of lengthening cycles is somewhat articulated around the fact that it's going to take us a longer time to get to our prior all-time high and hold it as support. Now, I'll give you the fact that it could go to 20K in the short term, but I think if it does, it'll hold it as resistance, right? And just drawing that, just drawing a general trend line out, if you see it right around that level, if we can get oh so lucky that it does go to 20K, in the short term, I do think it would be held as resistance for the first time, and we would significantly kick the can down the road in terms of actually breaking the 20-week, going above it, and then coming back down to it to hold it as support. So, when Bitcoin's going up day after day, I get a lot of comments on the channel that say, lengthening cycle theory is just crazy. There's no way that it's going to take that long. And then, of course, when it does go down, even by a few percentage points, all the friendly neighborhood bears will come out and reclaim, the fact that they were right? The fact that they're right. And I would just like to remind them that, if you missed out buying in this region, a short-term move like this it's almost like you don't even get out of bed for that, right? Who cares? I mean, this is just business as usual, as we've said over and over again. Business as usual. We know that Bitcoin's going to go up and we know that it's going to go down. But ultimately speaking, when you hide the price, you hide the noise, you see the general moving averages, right? I mean, we generally move up with some periods of these corrections, right? I mean, this is business as usual. And I would argue, right, that it's going to take us a longer period of time this cycle to build up to 20K as it did last cycle to build up to 1100. So it's going to take longer than it did last cycle to get there. And it's funny, right? Because when you talk about it, and Bitcoin's at 11K, and you say, we're not going to get there, we're not going to get to a sustainable 20K most likely for another 14 months or so. When you say that, it's mostly met, or I guess not mostly, but there's certainly a number of people that think that that's preposterous that something like that could be on the cards. But I'll remind you that not everything is always as it seems, right? When things move up quickly, the narrative changes, right? And most people who they play the game of crypto based on their emotions, right? But as far as I can tell, I mean, we're still lower than we were in 2019, and I mean, you could have even made the argument stronger here that lengthening cycle theory is not true, right? Because if we had continued that trend, it would not have taken very much longer for us to get to 20K. I mean, it would only taken a couple more months, right? Now we're here, and I'm happy with where we are, right? I mean, I'm happy with where Bitcoin is, and I would love to just see us slowly move up to 20K over the next several, over a year, probably my goal, right, is end of 2021, beginning of 2022 to see a $20,000 sustainable Bitcoin. This is my goal. And this is what I would like to see, right? And we made a video a long time ago called Bitcoin, the bull, the bear, the tortoise, and the hare. And the general idea behind that is not just, oh, let's think of some funny animal names. It's if we draw on here, let me actually go to the BLX, because the BLX will have data that goes a little bit further back. So let's look at the BLX, and we know that the first move from the bottom to the last all-time high, not the wick, just the candle, tends to be slower, right? It tends to be slower, and then after we get there, it's more of a parabolic move, from that point to wherever the all-time high does end up being. So that was the first cycle. Let me remove some of these moving averages so you can actually see this a little bit better. So this was the first one. The second one, let's take it from the bottom over here to the prior all-time high, which is right here, okay? Something like that. Once we got there, actually I drew that a little too high. Let me draw a candle over here, or a line over. So if we just draw it to that point, so you can see this first move is more of a slower, methodical move up, right, within the regression band. And then the next one is parabolic, okay? And then the same thing looking at this market cycle. So if we draw this out to say, let's say the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, we know, we've showed before that this regression line will, it's hard to extend it out on here, I guess, but if you extend it out more or less, it's going to be around 20K in this region. It's going to be around 20K. I'm just not drawing it that well, but it's going to be around 20K. And if history repeats, right, we're going to be within the regression band when we get to that prior all-time high and sustain it. Okay, so if that is the case, right, then we're going to, there's a good chance, right? There's a good chance we go into speculative bubble mode and then come back down and then go back up. But again, there's always a chance that we just continue on up our merry way in the regression band, which is exactly what we did last time, right? This is exactly what we did in the last cycle. We didn't even go into that many, into any huge speculative bubble like we did in 2019. We just slowly came up, right? We just slowly came up. Once we got to the prior all-time high, then we went parabolic, right? And in this area, we saw a lot of Bitcoin retracements. We saw tons of them. So, again, par for the course, business as usual. We're going to see it go up. We're going to see it go down. Hopefully, it generally trends up, right? And remember, the 20-week moving average, as we've said many, many times, is what we want to hold as support for the bull market, right? We would like to hold it as support. And currently, the 20-week moving average, let me switch back over to a chart that has the live price so you guys can see it. So currently, the 20-week moving average is 94.33, okay? So we still have, you're talking a pretty significant drop, right? If we were to drop from our current price down to the 20-week, it's approximately a 20% drop. This would still be business as usual, right? It would completely be business as usual if that were to happen. What I would like to see, right, is us to hold that as support, just like we did in the last bull market, time and time again, okay, which were accompanied by 30 to 40% drops. So, we're going to follow this. One of the things, I don't normally talk about these short-term moves. If you follow the channel, you know that I think that short-term moves are more of a free walk, more so attributable to geometric Brownian motion than any type of traditional TA would tell you. But something I have spoken about before is that not always, but when Bitcoin is super bullish, right, in the short term, it does tend to somewhat respect the 20-day moving average. Not entirely, right? We can see it's ish that it actually respects it. And I would never trade based on this, like I don't. But it does sometimes seem to hold the 20-day as support when it's in a very bullish mode. And if you zoom in, right, so if we zoom in here, you can see that it wasn't that long ago that we held the 20-day as support at around 11,100. And then we bounced off of it and continued on up. And then we've come back down, and guess where we came back down to? Right at the, and we actually, I actually said, it's funny because I said this earlier in the video on the back to the basics. I said that I mentioned the 20-day, at least in the short term, right? I mean, it's possible that I go to sleep tonight and I wake up and Bitcoin is at 10,500 or something. But at least in the short term, it seems to have gone down approximately to the 20-day and is now back above it a little bit. We'll see if it holds. If it does hold, I feel like it's really bullish for Bitcoin in the short term, and that it will quickly reclaim 12K. If it doesn't, and you see us head back down to 11K, 10.5 maybe, something like that. If you see that happen, still business as usual. If we get below 10.5, by the time we get there, of course the 20-week will probably continue trending up. We anticipate that the 20-week. It's currently at, let me switch back to the weekly chart. So the 20-week is currently at, as we said, it's 94.32. So in another, if we go back to the 20-week in like a week or something, this will obviously be a lot higher. So just be on the lookout for that, right? Because if we go down to that and we fail to hold it as support, and not on the daily time frame, if you see weekly candles printing below it, right? This is when you want to get a little bit, I don't want to say a little bit, this is when I would be getting way more conservative, right? All these altcoins, it's time to call it a day on some of those. Take the profits and run back into stable coins, run back into Bitcoin. Protect what you earned, right? Protect what you earned. Don't watch bubbles come and go, right? Without taking advantage of them. So still a long way to go before we get to that point. But I would remind you, right, that when Bitcoin does move down, again, this is really nothing to even get out of bed for. But if it does move down significantly, maybe even back to 10.5, rest assured that most altcoins, not all of them, but most of them would bleed against Bitcoin and bleed against USD. So they're probably gonna bleed against both if Bitcoin drops back down to say like the 10.5 regime. I'm not saying that it will. I think there's at least a decent chance that we just quickly bounce back up and are back over 12K in no time. But again, we recognize that it's it's a ride, right? I mean, we're going to be on this ride for several years. So my recommendation to you guys is to just get comfortable and enjoy it, right? I mean, look at the moves down, any move down as an opportunity, and look at speculative bubbles as an opportunity to sell. This is my goal, right? Because we don't know where the top is. We don't know that if we come up to 20K in the short term, there's a good chance if we do that, we then retrace back to 12K or something. So we don't know where the top is. Ben does not know. Ben has models. I have models that I use, but all models are wrong. Some are useful, but all of them are wrong. So we're obviously it's all about how you react to the market. It's about how you react. Are you the person that watches Bitcoin go from like 12.3 down to 11.6 and then you capitulate and then maybe watch it then go back up to 12K? Or are you the person that just continuously, moves into the market systematically and then you move out of the market whenever we do get to a bubble mode, right? Because we know, I guess we don't know anything, but there's a really good chance that at some point Bitcoin's going to go into full-out bubble mode again. And you're probably going to want as much Bitcoin as possible to take advantage of that situation. So just a friendly reminder, the local neighborhood bears will come out. They'll pat themselves on the back for whatever ground they can gain. The people calling for 20K Bitcoin, will kind of retreat a little bit. But tomorrow could be a different story, right? Tomorrow Bitcoin could go straight back up. The bears go back in their caves. The bulls come back out, and then it's just business as usual. So I hope it's been informative. I know it's a little bit of a rant, but anytime stuff like this happens, I tend to get bombarded by people asking me what's going on. So those are my candid thoughts on the market. If you guys like the content, please check out the premium list intothecryptoverse.com. You'll get access to 6 different things: the premium report, the premium video, the private Telegram alerts channel, the private Telegram chat channel, the Google Sheets risk dashboard, which is what I use to make these swing trades, and then the the strategies dashboard, where you can learn how to DCA out of a market and how various strategies would theoretically play out. And if you'd prefer, you can also sign up at patreon.com/into the cryptoverse if you would prefer to sign up there as opposed to the website. Let me know what you guys think. I would love to have you join the Telegram channel. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, right? I feel like I don't say it enough. It really does help in the algorithm, so give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Let's go for 40,000 subscribers. Let's show the world that it's not all just Bitcoin, moon videos when it's going up, and not, Bitcoin like FUD videos when it's going down, but there is a way to have a systematic and level-headed approach based on data science that I think will ultimately win out. So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.